Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany, and here we talk about money, travel, and motherhood. So today we're going to talk about why I wouldn't want to be an Airbnb host. I know it's the big rage and everybody's getting into it, but there's some things that you need to know. So let's jump right into it. Okay, first of all, it took me forever to do that intro, and I love it. So let me know in the comments if you love it too. One of the first things that you need to be aware of is there are HOA restrictions. So I have a condo in Boynton Beach, Florida, and the HOA there puts restrictions on short-term rentals, meaning I cannot do a short-term rental in that building. So you need to be aware of the rules and regulations of the HOA or the condominium association where you're looking to purchase or even rent the unit that you're going to be doing the short-term rental. And keep in mind that even if they're okay with it today, the HOA rules and regulations change. So I would never do a building unless it's a building where they advertise as being short-term friendly. Any other building, they could change their mind and you have this investment and you wanted to use this particular strategy and now you can't, and now you have to reanalyze and see what you're going to do with that property. Another thing is city regulations. So certain cities have bans on Airbnb or short-term rentals in general. So it could be even more than just the building, could be the city where the property is located might have a ban or a restriction in certain areas. Certain cities like Miami, they want all of their Airbnbs in a certain zone. So it can't be anywhere in the city of Miami. It has to be where they are approved for Airbnb. Another thing is the regulations. So even if it's allowed in a certain city, the city may still put certain regulations on it that you have to abide by as part of your short-term rental in order to do business in that city. So let's just pause right there. I gave you 3 reasons, and those alone are reasons why I don't want to get into it. Because if I do all of the work and I put up all of the money to do this particular investment, I really don't want anybody telling me what to do and what I can't do and what I should do. I want the freedom with my investment. I want the freedom to be able to do what I want to do. But if you're an investor that you're okay with those things, and another thing is I want the freedom to do what I want to do, but it's also the having to be always aware of the changes. So it's a situation where you have to do a lot of research initially, and then there's ongoing research that you would have to do. So for me and the type of life that I like to live, which is relaxed, that's a bit too much, even just with those things. So if we move on to the time and the cost, the upfront time and the upfront cost. Think about when you move into a new place, when you get a new place, you buy a new place or you get an apartment and you move in. Think about the time that it takes you to furnish and to set up everything. You have to purchase all of the furniture, from the large things like a bed and a sofa and dining, to the small things like fork, knife, toaster oven, dishwashing soap, hand towels. It's just every single thing that you could need for a rental. You have to have all of that. And the time that it takes and the money that it takes, I much prefer to do long-term rentals where you rent the space and the tenant is responsible for providing all of that. Um, it's less money sometimes than the short-term rental, but it's less stress, and that's how I like my life. Less stress. Cleaning. Okay, imagine a hotel. They have cleaning staff. For every time somebody checks out, they have a whole staff, a whole team, not just one person. They have a whole team of people coming to help. to clean. So if you're running an Airbnb, you have to make sure you have a team of people coming to help clean. Because if you're relying on one person, and that person is for some reason unavailable, and you also have a booking coming up, you have another person who wants to come and rent and stay, then the responsibility falls on you. And that is something I don't want to do now or ever. So that's another reason why I lean away from having an Airbnb. So, inquiries from guests. So, imagine if you've ever booked an Airbnb, imagine all of the questions that you ask the owner, like, hey, what is there to do in the neighborhood? What are the check in procedures? And then imagine all of the questions that you have once you get there. Hey, I can't find the heater. Hey, I can't find the coffee maker. Hey, I can't find, the toast. All of these questions that you keep getting. I wouldn't want that. I would want a business that runs on its own if it's that kind of investment. I much prefer hands-off investments where you look at them every few months, not every day, multiple times a day. There's also the maintenance. So in addition to the cleaning, there's also the maintenance every time something breaks, and also the sense of urgency to get that fixed. Think about when you stay at a hotel and the AC isn't working, or something's wrong with the toilet. You want that fixed immediately. So you either want a new room, or you want a discount, or you want to stay somewhere else. But these are problems that need to be fixed. And if you're running a short-term rental, they have to be fixed rather quickly. You can't say, okay, I'll get to it next week. Just give me a week or so to find a plumber, to see what their schedule is like, to see when I could come there. It has to be done immediately, because that guest is going to be upset. And then you may also have other guests that are coming in. So the sense of urgency to get things done is real. And for me, that would just cause me more stress. And I much prefer less stress. Price fluctuations. It's just like a hotel. The price is going to fluctuate based on the demand. So if you're in a season where there's more demand, it's going to be higher price. If you're in a season where it's less demand, then it's going to be lower price. So these are things that you have to think about when setting the price per night. So you might have it as one price if they're renting during the week, or another price if they're renting on the weekend, or another price if they're renting around the holidays, or another price if they're renting and there's no one else who wants it. So all of these things are extra things to think about. As opposed to a long-term rental, you can look at what is the rent price in the area and set the price based on the property that you have. Is your property a little nicer than the average homes in the area? Are they in par with the homes in the area? So you don't have to think about it as much. You think about it once when you're doing the rent, when you're doing the lease, and that's pretty much it for a year if you're lucky, or more if you're even luckier. Seasonal fluctuations. There, you might live in a city like, let's say, Denver, where there's more demand in the winter, or in another city where there's a lot of demand around a certain time. That's something that you have to put into your investment plan, and so that you can calculate the occupancy rate. So those are all things that you have to analyze when starting your Airbnb business. Another thing would be canceled bookings. So you might have your whole month booked, or a good amount of your month booked, and then you have cancellations. And this cancellations combined with vacancies, combined with seasonal fluctuations, makes it challenging to predict your annual income, as opposed to a long-term rental. Once it's rented, so long as that tenant doesn't lose their job or have another issue for which they need to be evicted or can't pay, then you pretty much know how much you're going to make for that year. The other thing is squatters. So if you have someone staying there in your short-term rental for a long period of time, what happens if they never leave? And you need to have contingencies for all of these things. So my opinion is that with Airbnb, you have the opportunity, or not just Airbnb, because there's VRBO, vacation rentals by owner. There's Airbnb. There's other websites. So Airbnb is just one website. So short-term rentals is what I'm really talking about. And for me, it just isn't something that I am interested in because of my personality and because of how I like to invest, as opposed to long-term rentals where you do the work initially and someone moves in and they are more responsible for the things that happen on a day-to-day basis. So am I saying that I'm against Airbnb? I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is you really should know yourself and the type of investor that you are and how much time that you have available to put into your investments or to put into your business. I think Airbnb is more of a business than it is an investment. Like it's more hands on than I would say long term rentals or stock market, for example. It's more of an active day to day managing everything kind of thing as opposed to long term rentals and the stock market. But if this is where you want to go and this is where you want to be and you love these kind of things, like you love the hands-on aspect of it and you love the changing and the meeting people, then there is the opportunity to outsource everything. So you can hire a cleaning company that will take care. So if one person is out, it's not a big deal because it's a company. They can just send another person. And they do have property managers for Airbnb rentals or for short-term rentals. So that person can be in charge of the price fluctuations. They can be in charge of the maintenance and they can have a maintenance staff. So that sense of urgency isn't such a stressful situation because they have a whole team who will come out there and do the maintenance. So you can outsource the managing of the maintenance, the managing of the prices. You can create a system for check-in so that it's not so much interaction with the guests, and you can streamline it so that it is less stressful and as simple as possible. So if this is the avenue that you want to use to build your wealth, then you can definitely do that. And if you've watched this much, remember to like, comment, and subscribe and share so that you can get all of our information and all of the content around money, travel, and motherhood and help us grow. Until next time, see ya.